The history of the US and China's Air Force is a fascinating story. From the early days of aviation to the present day, both countries have made significant advancements in their Air Force technology and strategy. And in this competition, the US always seems to prevail. Is the Chinese dream of coming on top power, especially with the introduction of the US Air Force's new war machines? Let's find out. Over the past 2 decades, China's Liberation Army has transformed from a large force to a modern military. While China still trails the United States in both operational skills and military hardware, they have made significant improvements in many areas, improving their relative capabilities. But China aims at achieving global domination by 2049 through pursuing large-scale military modernization and force size expansion, rigorous research and science and technology initiatives, and breakthrough advances in new weapons areas such as hypersonics. But how much China should improve to take on the massive US Air Force? Well, let's just say China has a long way to go. So let's get to the numbers. While China is the second largest air force in the world, they still have a way to go to catch up to the United States. The United States has the most significant air force strength in the world, with a whopping 10,000 more air platforms than China. According to reports, China has 3,260 aircraft in service, while the United States has an impressive 13,233 aircraft. And that's not all. China is at a significant disadvantage when it comes to tankers and helicopter fleets. The US boasts of having 625 aircraft in their tanker, while China has merely 3. When it comes to helicopters, the US has a 5,400-plus helicopter fleet, while China only has 902. And let's take an example of how things would go in head-to-head combat between a fighter jet from China and the US. Let's compare China's J-20 fighter jet with the US Air Force's F-22 and F-35, as you can see on the screen. The chances of the Chinese J-20 winning against the US F-22 or F-35 is a may or may not situation. But the real problem comes for China, as they only operate roughly 50 to 100 J-20s, whereas the US can fly more than 160 F-22s, hundreds of land and sea-launched F-35s, and plans a large F-35 fleet of 1,763 aircraft. But China is making some impressive strides to expand its tanker fleet and improve its military power. According to reports, they are developing a new tanker variant of the C-130 and C-17, similar to their Y-20 cargo plane. This will significantly help to increase their tanker fleet. Additionally, the Chinese are adding a thrust vectoring nozzle and installing indigenous WS-15 engines, which will give them an F-22-like supercruise ability. But did you know the US Air Force possesses an instrument of war which not only China but the whole world is scared of? The instrument of war is called the B-21 Raider. Under development for over 7 years, the B-21 nuclear stealth bomber Raider finally debuted at a much-awaited event on December 3, 2022. Soon after the launching, experts are predicting that it's going to be a game-changer in the Indo-Pacific region and could challenge China with its range of 9,600 kilometers and a mind-blowing 10-ton payload. Zhang Shifeng, a Chinese military expert, said that the B-21's stealth capability has been significantly enhanced with several changes and details. It can now reduce its radar cross-section and evade more radio frequency bands. Zhang admitted that the improved stealth would provide the B-21 with a more robust capability in defense penetration, allowing it to drop inexpensive stand-in weapons in large numbers just over targets. He claimed that this is less expensive than employing non-stealth aircraft to launch expensive, long-range standoff missiles. But how is the US going to use this war machine against China? It looks like the US just deployed its first viable instrument against China's vast logistical, technological, and doctrinal deficiencies in the Western Pacific. With calls for an armed unification of Taiwan with the Chinese mainland growing louder among the higher echelons of the Communist Party of China, and President Xi Jinping's exhortation of the People's Liberation Army to prepare for fighting and winning wars, the US has upped the ante. But are the Chinese waiting for the US to push them into a corner? Definitely not. Zhang is claiming that China has everything it needs to create a bomber similar to the B-21. China has hinted at creating the H-20, which will feature a flying wing aerodynamic design identical to the B-2 and B-21. The arrival of the H-20 will complete the People's Liberation Army Air Force's plans to achieve a nuclear triad. So, who do you think is winning this race by the end of this decade? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe.